followed by the national anthem.
So before we begin, I just want to say that, just want to explain for a moment why I chose this Tehillim. It's not typical Tehillim. It's not typical Tehillim that he would say. I think the rabbis will be saying that next. The reason I chose this particular Tehillim is because when Steve asked me to say this chapter of Tehillim, I decided that I would pick something that represents what its time means to me and my family, and I think to everybody here. And I chose the one that's actually part of our tefillah. It's 147. It is the second Tehillim, Pasuk Zimmer, right after Ashrei. And our scroll bills it as talking about Yerushalayim, but there's just so much more in here, which I'm not going to get into. But there was one particular phrase that over the last 2 years has jumped out at me as something that's meant a lot to me and my family, and I think to everybody here, when you hear it, it will resonate with you. So let me just translate that first, and then I'll say it to Tehillim. I'll say it, but once you say it along with me, can. It is a little bit longer than other Tehillim, so I assume those who know it as part of the tefillah will say it. Those who don't, I will say it for you. So the pasuk goes, "Harofi Yishuv Elei v'Chabesh Latzvosam." Hashem heals the brokenhearted and bandages their wounds. So over the last few years in particular, there's a lot going on in the shul. We all know that this shul is really the basis for a lot of chesed in the community, led by our rabbi, followed by the doctors, followed by the friends that become family. And I just feel blessed to be a part of the Eitz Chaim family. From time to time you question, should this be the shul for me? And I just feel right now that when I look at this pasuk and I think of the people in the shul, I do feel that you all are like family, and I'm very blessed to be a part of all of you. So here we go. Mona Mispona Kachabim, Nachum Shenos Ikra, Godol and Nadim of Koach, the Sporosai Mispor. Modina Navim Adonoi, Mashpil Shai Medayoretz, Anula de Bisodas, Anula Himachira, Hamachaser, Shmayim Bavim, Hamechila Mata, Hamasmia Harin Hansir, Nosim Levin Malach, Neo Bashir Kru, Logura Sasujah Pas, Boshir is Haish Yotsa, Sadano Israel, Semachlim Hasto, Shabchi Shmai Masadonoi, Alhai. Alhain Sion, Kichizak, Borechai, Sharayach, Borech, Borech, Bekebech, Hasam, Gabolech, Shalom, Cheleb, Chachiti, Nasbiech, Hashlech, and the Sa'aretz, Admira, Yusvaro, Hanosim, Shlek, Sama, Kavok, Kefer, Yupazer, Mashi, Kacha, Kavisim, the Tekin, Krosim Yamod, Yishlach, the Babar Yamsem, Yashe, Rucha, Yazlumayim, Magid, Robiaka, Chukka, Mishpadov, Israel, Losa, Fentab, Goyim, Mishpadim, Al Yudun, Hallelujah.
I'm going to ask everybody to stay standing for a minute. We're all devastated by the news of these 3 young boys who were kidnapped, and we're going to ask Rabbi Rosenberg just to say some tehillim on their behalf, and we wish for them to be found and returned home safe and sound very, very soon.
These are 3 chapters that were said today around the world at the Kotel simultaneously in many convocations for Tehillim throughout the Jewish world. So let's say them as well. Kuf Chav Aleph. Shir B'Ma'alos Esoy Ayel Le'Harim Me'ayim Yovo Ezri Ezri Me'im Adonai Yosei Shomayim V'Oretz Al Yitin Alot Raglecha Al Yonu Mishomerecha Lo Yonun V'Lo Yishon Shomer Yisrael Adonai Shomerecha Adonai Tzilecha Al Yad Yeminecha Yomam HaShemesh Lo Yakeka V'Yoreach V'Lo Yelach Adonai Yishmorcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Es Nafshecha No, Yushmor Tzesecha V'Lecha Me'ato V'Yad Olam Shir HaMa'alos Mimam Hakim Kirosicha Adonai Shema V'Koli Tiyen Oznecha Kashuvos V'Kol Tachanunoi Im Avonos Tishmor Yoch Adonai Mi Yamor Asalicho L'Ma'ana Tivorei Ki V'Tzi Adonai Ki V'Son Nafshi V'Lidboro Cholti Nafshi L'Adonai Mishomerim L'Boker Shomerim L'Boker Yachel Yisrael L'Adonai Ki Im Adonai HaChesed V'Harbe Imo Fidus Yifdes Yisrael Mikol Avonosah. This one is the least familiar Kuf Mem Bet, but it happens to express exactly what's going on. Maskil L'David B'Hiyoso V'Me'ora Sefilo Koli El Adonai Es Ok Koli El Adonai Es Chanon Eshpoch lefanov sichi, tzorasi lefanov agid. V'hisatef olai ruchi, v'ato yodato nesibasi, v'orach zu ahalech tomu fachli. הבית יומין וראה ואין לי מכיר עובד מונוס ממני אין דורש לנפשי זעקתי אליך אדוני אמרתי אתה מחסי חלקי בארץ החיים הקשיב אל בנפשי כי דלוסי מאוד הצילני מרודפי כי יאמצו ממני הוציאו ממזכר נפשי להודות את שמך ביחתירו צדיקים כי סגמול עלי.
Thank you. You may be seated. Just a quick note as we get started. If you have cell phones, we ask you to please leave them on so that your ringing will tune out all of the speeches that you're about to hear. And it will be a much more enjoyable evening. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the wonderful world of Congregation Chaim. This is our 33rd annual dinner, and tonight we honor Suzanne and Bernie Schindler and Cindy and David Frankel. So I really hope that you guys are as pumped about this dinner as I am. It's very exciting, and I don't know if it's the new place, the honorees, or the lobster dinner you just had, but whatever it is, it's very exciting. This is going to be very, very, very special, and it's going to be different. With most dinners, you always try to find some thread, some connection with the honorees and the shul. So if you think about it, tonight's dinner has all the makings of a reality TV show. So if you think about it, it's like 8 times American Idol. So we have the Jewish Elvis in a David Frankel in a sing-off versus Bernie Schindler. So I know where I'm putting my money. Bernie, go, baby, go. So that's why I'm not rich. Anyway, but I was thinking about my work because Chaim has been called many, many, many things in the past, and an American Idol is definitely not one of them. So I was trying to think, what else could we do? What else would really fit the dinner? So then I realized, we're talking about the Frankels, and we're talking about the Schindlers, and these are our leading men and women. These are our stars, our superstars. So this is like the Oscars. This is the Chaim Academy Awards. And if you think about it, right, Bernie Schindler, Best Actor in a non-singing role. Suzanne Schindler, making French films. And for those of you who are under 50, I'll explain that when the rabbi leaves. And it would really be really cool. And then you look at Cindy and David. And that's where it falls apart. Because Cindy and David are too nice and too innocent, and you can't make fun of anyone who makes Mr. Rogers look bad. Okay? So you guys are just too nice. Now, so if you think about it, people who are too nice, they usually have skeletons in their closet. We wouldn't know that because they took that along with everything else the West Hempstead. So that's a problem. So I'm going to just ask you guys to cover your ears for a second. I'm just going to talk to Cindy and David. So I don't know if you know it, but the minhag of the shul is to leave after your honor, not before. So if you look around the room, right, you have the Goldsteins, the Arbeites, the Ports, the Goldsteins, the Silvermans, the Goldsteins. We had to honor them a few times so they got the message, and then they left. But the whole idea is, you move afterwards, not before, and that's really the price you pay for being honored at the shul. You get honored, you have to leave. So that should help us get new honorees in the future. So we joke, we talk about Chaim's reputation, and it's all true. We are weird, and we are very proud of it. We're not cookie cutter Jews. We don't conform just because that's what everyone else does. Exactly. And we have our own minds and our own thoughts. We are the rebellious teenagers, and the rest of the shuls in our neighborhood are the tortured parents. Right? So we are who we are. But in order for us to be ourselves and to navigate through the way of the trials and tribulations of Orthodox Jewish life, you need strong leadership. And it all starts with the rabbi, right? Rabbi Rosenberg. Well-educated, engaging, a vast vision of the world. Eric Levy, president, strong, well-organized, determined to get the job done. But most of all, don't ever forget this. You need a vice president who is talented, funny, and very handsome. I hate all of you guys off. Okay, so Chaim is a very, very special place. The old timers, we call them the more mature members of the shul, will remember a million years ago when we rented rooms out of Shevach High School, and we would daven, and then we would have to break down the shul and set up the kiddush, and then we would clean and sweep everything up, clean everything up, and then reset the shul, and that's the way life was. And we were a team, we were a family, we all worked together. So the first time I met Bernie, I didn't know anything. I went over to him, I put my hand out to say good Shabbos, it's like the normal thing to do. And what does he do? He sticks a broom and a dustpan in my hand. So I'm like shocked. I look at Phyllis, I'm like, what do I do? She shrugs and goes, sweet. So I did. And that was the Chaim way. That's the Shemer way. All for one for all. We make fun and we have the ability to laugh ourselves. But when you think about it, we are unbelievably fortunate. The love in this shul is just absolutely breathtaking. If you have any doubt, just watch Cindy and David. Watch how they deal with their kids, right? Shana, Leah, Shira, and Miriam. Now, Cindy, I've never watched you in the women's section. I'm sure that's something you're very happy to hear, as most people are. But I've had the opportunity to watch David. And you watch through the years as the girls grew up, and they sat with him, and he helped them, whether it was through davening or reading or whatever they were doing. And he always had this proud smile on his face, and the kids were always so content. And there's a lot to be said with content children. When you look at them and the kids are happy, you know they're coming from a new home. Not a new home, a good home. That's a whole different story. Okay, what about the Shemers? I know, as our kids were growing up, they were our mentors. We watched them, we watched everything they did. Look at their kids, right? Evan, Ariel, Dana, they're amazing kids. And we use them to bring up our kids. And I know we all did that. We watched them. And that's the way it was. And it wasn't just their kids. You watched the way they dealt with the kids in the shul. And more importantly and more difficult, the way they dealt with the parents of the kids in the shul. Now, true, Suzanne often had to play her own version of Where's Waldo? We called it Where's Bernie? And often, Suzanne was home and she was waiting and waiting and waiting until Bernie would come home. But you always knew Bernie was in shul, and he was either troubleshooting or he was doing something that had to get done. And he was the guy. He stepped up to the plate each and every time, and he got it done. And that's why they were always role models for us. So I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to honor them tonight. Now, our next speaker is a man that I've been very fortunate to introduce many, many times before. His abilities are limited only by the number of hours in the day, and even then I'm not so certain. As past president, I've seen him do things that no mortal man can do and still remain sane. Davening, laming, shira, mentoring, teaching, bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, graduations, funerals, weddings. It's breathtaking. I mean, you can just keep going and going and going and all the things that he has done. But you know what? He does it all. He does it with energy, he does it with compassion, and most of all, he does it with love. And there's a thesaurus, again, for you guys who are under 50, it's a little book that tells you alternate words. But a thesaurus, and when you look up the word superhuman, it comes up with divine, Herculean, extraordinary. And that, my friends, is Rabbi Moshe Rosenberg. He's a leader, a role model, and a superman. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for the Motor Dasher of Congregation Chaim, Rabbi Moshe Rosenberg.
Steve, you have me yearning for the days when my head was being superimposed on Hulk Hogan. With the kidnapping of the 3 young men from Israel on all of our minds, it would be tempting to mute or even to cancel tonight's celebration. Tempting, but wrong. and not merely for practical reasons. It isn't only because of all the planning that has gone into this evening's festivities, or because of the fear of wasting the time and effort of so many dedicated volunteers and disappointing the honorees and those who came to honor them, but to cancel an event of this nature is to give terror a victory and to miss a teaching opportunity. What's called for instead is the transformation of the evening and its conscious infusion with the meaning that so often remains unexpressed. First, we frame the program, opening with Tehillim and closing with Bishuv Hashem Meshivas Tzion. And then we recognize that the program in between is what it truly is, a Jewish way of responding to evil. When confronted with terror, Jews don't cower, we don't cancel, we don't cave. Instead, we respond to Tumah by adding Kedusha, to Kfira by adding Emunah, to a philosophy that extols death by strengthening institutions that give the life of Torah. By recognizing people who serve as role models and resolving to emulate them, that's how we try to make ourselves worthy of Rachamei Shamayim. And so tonight, we'll bring to mind the good things that we do as a kehillah, but more importantly, we'll commit ourselves to continue and increase them. We're so proud of making a broad, all-encompassing, practical Torah available to all segments of the community. But we commit ourselves to expanding what we teach and how we teach and whom we reach. We take pride in a tefillah that's both quiet and beautiful, but it can be more of both. We justifiably point to a congregational family which has shown more chesed this year in both routine and extraordinary circumstances than ever before, but we won't rest while there are those who need a kind word or a visit or a favor. And that's what tonight is about. And that's why we couldn't have more fitting honorees. Suzanne and Bernie Schindler embody what we aspire to be. Expecting no recognition, in fact running away from the honor, they have left no chance for chesed unexploited, no service for the shul undone, and accepting their honor tonight may well be for them the toughest service of all. They're joined by Cindy and David Frankel, architects of artistic chesed, whose internal chesed detectors have identified and filled so many needs in our shul before we even sense them ourselves. The officers of the shul and the fine people who worked on this dinner and its journal did so l'shem shamayim out of love for the shul, the honorees, and sublime generosity of spirit. And that's why every bite and sip tonight is a mitzvah. That's why we'll enjoy this evening without reservation, even while bearing in mind those three special children of all Klal Yisrael. We won't cave to evil, we'll carve a monument to good, and we'll demonstrate that the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Rabbi. And now to introduce their parents, here are Evan, Ariel, and David.
Dad, in honor of Father's Day, we all decided to throw you a huge dinner. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers here, and especially mine. As you all know, my father's second home is Chaim. He dedicates much of his time and energy to ensuring that Chaim is special, not only to its members, but to the community as well. He's extremely passionate about encouraging the children of Chaim to be involved and give back to the shul. He thereby exemplifies what a master teacher is all about. One who practices what he preaches. The Al Shulchan Kadosh makes a special mention of two psukim in Kriyas Shema that we all know about. First one, which it says by you at Rima'ila, And it says, the word should be al levavecha, on your heart. The next pasuk says, v'shinamtem v'necha, and you should teach it to your children. The Alshich explains, before one teaches their own children or students, one first has to put the words and the lessons on their own heart. Thanks, Dad, for teaching us and inspiring us and fulfilling Alshich's words.
Thank you all for coming. It's really a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Not any tear cut whatsoever. Very honored to come from Israel. Absolute pleasure. And thank you for everyone for making us feel so welcome. When my mother decided to speak last night, sorry Steve, last night, I said, Dana, you got dad, I got mom. So, mom's easy. My mom's easy. Well, first of all, this time in the Parshios, for me, personally, it feels like we have to think about the importance of a great woman. This upcoming parsha talks about the influence of On ben Pelz's wife versus the influence of Korach's wife. We all know how they fared out. Last week's parsha, we hear about Moshe davening for Yoshua, not to be influenced by other Meraglim. We don't hear as much about davening for Kalev. Yaakov Kamenetsky explains because he was married to Miriam. No need to daven for him. He married someone so special, someone so great. Doesn't need our prayers. My mother, I asked Carl Shapiro, if you want an honest answer from the Shapiros, you'll get it. Carl and Sima, probably Sima more, but I asked how to describe my mother. One word. He said, no words to describe my mother. I'll pick a word because it's probably the word that I've heard the most. Gem. My mother is a gem. Without further ado, the gem and her husband.
You know what? While they're getting ready, we're going to show a very short video from the kids from Israel. Yeah, one second. I want to go to the night camera. So he's saying Mazel Tov, Grandma and Grandpa, on a well-deserved holiday. No, just technical difficulties. Hit the square button.
Myself, I will after that soon. Make a dinner for you and honestly, please don't. I like the seventh after. Yeah, it's the seventh after or wood and
What's so special about it?
He has the best story. And we started to journey a lot of games. And we told him a lot of money to stuck and told him stuff for organization and stuff. Bye, but not at all. Mom, it's why
You love them because what? They're cute?
Zane, come on up. Who's going first?
Bonsoir, notre chère famille et nos chers amis. Bienvenue. Good evening to our dear family and friends, Rabbi Moshe Rosenberg and Dina. Thank you all for joining us tonight. To the entire Journal and Dinner Committee who worked so hard, Bernie and I thank you for this beautiful dinner. To Evan, Devorah, Ariel, and Shaggy, and Dana, and of course, Yosef Shalom. This was an amazing surprise. To Mishaya, Moshe Meir, Rivka Bracha, Miriam, Ethel, Etty, and Yemi, thank you all for keeping the secret. Bernie and I are grateful to Hashem for our many blessings. One of those blessings was the wonderful community we found when we moved with our young son Evan to Cuban Hills nearly 34 years ago. Here we found families who shared our vision, ideas and ideals of what a shul should be. Here we found families in whose homes our children grew up. You have become our lifelong friends. We have received an enormous amount of support, both in our times of simcha and in our times of need from the people of Chaim. We are family. Thank you, my dear husband, the love of my life, for being there for us and for being my right hand. Now, as Bernie and I look back over these years filled with wonderful memories, we are able to see many of our early dreams fulfilled. These are dreams that have been realized by the efforts of all of us working together here tonight, as well as people who have left us, Phyllis, David, and others. Je vous remercie de tout mon cœur. I thank you with all my heart and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you for coming.
Sounds good.
Joseph S. Ross, a great Jewish philanthropist and Jewish education benefactor, was often asked to be honored by organizations to help raise money for their institutions. He once accepted, subject to the following imprimatur, that he be allowed this time to give his long acceptance speech. It was as follows: thank you very much. While certainly not as erudite as Mr. Gruss, I will try to express our gratitude by conveying some thoughts on the subject of Hakarat HaTov, recognizing and acknowledging the good. The author Melody Beatty, in describing gratitude, says, "Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend." The Jewish view encompasses much more than that. The obligation to be Makir Tov is one of the tenets of Avodat Hashem. Hashem gives man an abundance of life, food, health, friends, family, salary, etc. And we recognize the goodness when we attune and sensitize ourselves to the one who gives us all, unlike the one who is haughty, who denies the true source of everything. Being Makir Tov for everyone is looking at the glass of water half full and not half empty. In Parsha Shalach, we see that the lack of recognition of Hashem's beneficence toward Bnei Israel led to the downfall of the Meraglim by their false reporting. In Parsha Torah, we see that Korach wasn't satisfied with his rather exalted position, and this jealousy of Moshe and Aaron resulted in his downfall. Pirkei Avot reminds us, who is wealthy, the one who is happy with his lot. There's a story that Rabbi Yisrael Salanter once noticed that a fancy restaurant was charging a huge price for a cup of coffee. He approached the owner and asked why the coffee was so expensive. After all, some hot water, a few coffee beans, and a spoonful of sugar could not amount to more than a few cents. That was obviously before Starbucks came on the scene. The owner replied, "It is correct that for a few cents you could have coffee in your own home. But here in the restaurant, we provide exquisite decor, soft background music, professional waiters, and the finest china to serve your cup of coffee." Rabbi Salanter's face lit up. "Oh, thank you very much. I now understand the blessing of Shakol. Shakol Niya Ibaro. All was created by His Word, which we recite before drinking water. You see, until now, when I recited this blessing, I had in mind only that I am thanking the Creator for the water that He created. Now I understand the bracha much better. All includes not merely the water, but also the fresh air that we breathe while drinking the water, the beautiful world around us, the music of the birds that entertain us and exalt our spirits, each with its different voice, the charming flowers with their splendid colors and marvelous hues, the fresh breeze. For all this we have to thank Hashem when drinking our water. The Chovos HaLevavos by Rabbeinu Bachya said, having Hakarat HaTov is the essence and foundation of all good midos. Being Makir Tov allows us to augment our feelings of kindness and goodwill and of achdus, unity and harmony amongst each other. It sweetens marriage. Thank you, Suzanne, for being a true Aisha style, special life partner, friend, mother, grandmother that you are. Being Makir Tov with smiles on our faces. Thank you, Evan and Deborah, Shaki, and Ariel, Dana, and all the grandchildren and spouses for all you have done to put smiles on our faces. We forgive you for the startling surprise during the co-conspirators perpetrated the Shabbos. We feel you always show us people out of aim and understand that it is one of the mitzvahs between Adam and between man and Hashem. Being Makir Tov strengthens friendships and brightens people's days. We treasure the wonderful friendships we've made and sustained the past 33 years. We miss Phyllis and all those who have left us during this time. Let the honor of your friend be as precious to you as your own. Being Makir Tov affirms the good in our lives. It is when Leah, Yaakov's wife, after delivering her fourth child, named him Yehuda, meaning I am grateful, to thank Hashem for the gift of another son. Yehudim thus comes from Yehuda, which shows that there is a direct connection between gratitude and Judaism. Being Makir Tov is 22,709 Jews being recognized by Yad Vashem as righteous Gentiles. Being Makir Tov is the Talmud's reference to Nachum, Ish Gamzu, whose name may be translated as comfort is the person who says this too. No matter what terrible things happen to me, he would say, Gamzu Latova, this too is for the good, affirming his sense of gratitude. Being Makatov is acknowledging in our davening Hashem's control of our destinies in such tefillah as Modi Menachem Shalata. We gratefully thank you for it is you. It is understanding Dayenu at the Pesach Seder to mean had Hashem only done one thing for us, it would have been enough, but he did much more. It is Dr. Mel telling us through his songs that what makes us human is the ability to be grateful for our blessings. It is a Torah indicating that Hakarat HaTov extends even to inanimate objects, as well as animals. Aaron was told to hit the water in the plague of Dam, not Moshe, because Moshe made the water a debt of Hakarat HaTov, because the river had protected Moshe when he was cast into it. May we all be granted the strength to grow individually and collectively as a Kehillah and community so that we reflect the presence of Hashem. And now I'd like to do Hakarat HaTov that Suzanne and I think we know various people in the shul. Special thank you to Rabbi Moshe and Dina Rosenberg and family for being for the past 20 years role models for our family and the rest of these Chaim members. Your friendship is valued, your educational mentoring, invigorating and motivating, and your inspiring leadership can continue to allow us to aspire to greater heights. To our dear family, our children, their spouses, grandchildren, friends, and fellow members of the congregation in Chaim. We thank you for embracing and sustaining with your love and support a dream which evolved into the dynamic reality of your and our Mikdash Mi'at and Kuvat Hills. We thank you for the understanding that a proper reverential tefillah and tzibur requires sanctity through decorum. I personally thank all the guys who sit around my seat and can make sure I keep true to this straight and narrow. We thank you for understanding that our children's growth is enhanced by respectful programming and inclusion afforded them by their Kehillah. We thank you for making our connection to Eretz Israel an ever-present and essential part of our Lot Chaim. We thank you for providing for and encouraging women who are halakhically permitted to participate in community and shul affairs. Toda Rabba to you all. A heartfelt Hakarat HaTov for the selfless and special effort of all those who are osek involved in the campaign designed to ensure the success of the true honoring of tonight's dinner, Congregation Eitz Chaim. Our gratitude overflows to the Helmsman of the Journal Dinner Committee, Co-Chairman Steve Siegel and Sam Stern. Kudos to the members of the Journal Committee, Alan Sherman, Marjorie Wine, Joel Wine, Carol Wittenberg, and Bernard Levka. Yashakov to the members of the Dinner Committee, Suri Berkowitz, Elisa Sherman, Shari Stetch, Yvette Stern, Kai Weissman, and Kobe Levka. Special recognition and appreciation goes to our President, Eric Levy, for his unique ability to maintain a gentle supervisory pulse on the preparations. Our gratitude goes out to you all with the hope that we will be zocha to celebrate many personal and communal smoko together. And our last Makir Tov goes to the Frankels, to David, the king of the Frankels, to Cindy, the queen of the Frankels, to Shana, Leah, Shira, and Miriam, Frankel princesses. We could think of no better family to receive the Ket Hashem Tov Award than a royal family who exemplifies what having a good name is and what is the foundation of the world. The foundation of the world depends on Torah, Avodah, and Gemulas Chasadim. It is literally adding Torah to the shul by donating the sacred Torah to the Eitz Chaim. It is two parents who have devoted their professional lives to working in Jewish communal service. It is bringing David's wonderful battlefield voice to enhance and enrich the shul davening. It is, among other projects, donating and having a shelf built in the Yom Kodesh so that the Torah's silver trappings can be properly displayed. It is having a daughter do a Gemulas Chesed project for her bat mitzvah that affixed tefillah to the Medina and stickers to back to Wasidur, thus also memorializing the names of our loved ones. It is the understated, self-effacing way we conduct our lives. It is your championing of and your devotion to the ideals of Eitz Chaim as a Malchim Tefillah, Malchim Torah, and Malchim Kodesh. With our sincere wishes, may the future only bring you bracha and tzlach. Mazel tov.
Flag. Who's the flag? Okay, so the flag says, Susanne Yvette Stern, no, for your tireless efforts on behalf of the Shul, Susanna Bertie Schindler, guest of honor, Congregation in Chaim 33rd Anniversary Dinner, June 15, 2014. Thank you, guys. That was beautiful. And now our next speaker actually needs a little bit of an introduction because he's a young and relatively unknown talent. I'm going to ask you to just cut him a little bit of slack because I guarantee he's going to be nervous when he gets up here. I've heard him speak a couple of times. He's actually pretty good, but again, just be patient with him. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Rabbi Moshe Rosenberg.
Speaking this side.
Just want to do a shout out to a couple whose absence is felt this evening, who always work extremely hard for the dinner and the journal. Moshe and Malka Cohen. Malka took a bit of a spill, and thank God she's okay, but she needs to rest up in bed. And Moshe dutifully is staying with her, especially after we promised to bring home a doggy bag. I also want to mention that just having Michael Septimus behind me on the keyboard strikes a real chord. It feels like he is really, really part of the family. It wouldn't be an Einstein dinner without him, and thank you. You could still back out. Pick up a sitter in the sanctuary. The publisher may have forgotten to insert the prayers for the state of Israel and its fighting forces, but the Frankels did not. They invented the Shira sticker, a delightful device that one affixes to the inside cover of any sitter. It combines ideal chinuch with liturgical need, fundraising with aesthetics. It epitomizes the modus operandi of the Frankel family: identify a need, formulate a way to meet it, involve as many mitzvot and individuals as possible to make the very fulfillment a celebration. Over the course of their stay in Kew Gardens Hills, Cindy and David repeated that pattern so many times that now, even when they've moved on to our West Hempstead satellite minion, you cannot walk through our shul or peruse its projects without seeing evidence of their sacred art at every turn. Walk into the Margaret Tietz Nursing and Rehabilitation Center for a Shabbat afternoon Bikur Cholim and go up to the 6th floor lounge, otherwise known as the Frankel Kumsitz Corner, where David would regale groups of residents in Zmiros accompanied by one of his daughters, a mitzvah, an art, accomplices, a celebration. I'm telling you, those people were up at arms when I came this Shabbos and they said, "Where's Frankel?" Open the Aron Kodesh and go back in your mind's eye to the days when a special anniversary to this family meant a Sefer Torah, and the Sefer Torah meant a fundraising campaign, artfully designed, an entire weekend celebration, complete with scholar in residence and the involvement of the entire Kehillah in celebration. I was present at Jerry and Reva's wedding in Toronto this past February and heard the words that David spoke to his brother-in-law. Instead of delivering a flashy Dvar Torah, he simply said, "These are the words that your father, Harav David Shimon Bar Balat Zichrono Livracha, would have said to you under your chuppah." And he proceeded to act in loco parentis. In realizing how to deliver that message, David was channeling all the educational and pastoral gifts of his father, Reb Meir Reb Yitzchak. It was just the most recent example of the pitch-perfect talks I have heard him deliver. When a family in the congregation needed a caring and talented social worker to sort out their options and complicated circumstances, I knew that there was one person up to the task, and Cindy did not disappoint. Mrs. Frances Barbalet, Mrs. Frankel, Mrs. Gloria Frankel, in watching the well-deserved honor of your children today, take pride in the exquisite gift that you have given the Jewish people and the world. It was your Frumkeit and Menschlichkeit that taught your children and now your grandchildren to seek out ways of brightening every community in which they live, while enlisting all around them as eager accomplices. It was as well the fellowship and shared love of their siblings and siblings-in-law who are here sharing this special moment that helped guide the teachings of the parents to their expression in the children. West Hempstead doesn't know it yet, but the day that they welcomed Cindy, David, Shana, Leah, Shira, and Miriam was the start of a new masterpiece of mitzvah art by master artisans. How privileged we have been to have shared one beautiful chapter in your lives. Please come forward to receive your well-deserved Keter Shem Tov award.
So you think it's a Father's Day party? It's a going away party. And it's a hard going away party because I get a little emotional. 17 years ago, when I was so privileged that Cindy said she would marry me, she brought me to Kew Garden Hills. And it's been a love affair that we've shared with Eight Times from the very beginning. It says in the ad journal, but if you haven't read yet, I'll share it with you now. We were the first couple who had our Shabbos Kala and Ofruf in the shul when it came to 73rd Avenue. Hard to believe, so long ago. And ever since that moment, we've tried in the last 15 years to share those special moments with our extended Hitzvayim family. You've been with us through spectacular, wonderful times when our three daughters, who were terrified only moments ago when they thought they would have to introduce us, were each born. And you were with us in very sad times when our fathers passed away. We've been privileged to be part of this extended family and try and find ways to celebrate our love and affection for each of you and for the shul in different kinds of ways. But I will be honest with you and share that we were very reticent to accept this privilege because we try to be. We're behind the scenes kinds of people, much like the Schindlers. But we do it differently than the Schindlers. But we aspire to be like the Schindlers. We try to find opportunities that perhaps haven't been exploited, because one of the things that's made our experience at It's Time so special all these years is to see that everyone that davens our shul finds a unique way to make their It's Time experience special for them. There are so many different things that people do in our shul that the only way I can really most fairly express what it means to us is by repeating something I shared with you last week perhaps, at least for, if not the last time, for perhaps a long time. And I'll share it with you again now. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב הוא יברך את כל הקדוש הזה עם כל קהילות הקודש הם ונשיהם ובניהם ובנותיהם וכל אשר להם ומי שדחני בתי כנסת לסתירה ומי שבא מסוכן להתפלל ומי שנוסעים נעלמות וירן קידוש להבדלה ופרץ לאורחים וצדקה לעניים וכל שמי שעושים צרכי ציבור באמונה הקדוש ברוך הוא ישלם שכרם ויסיר מהם כל מחלה וירפא לכל גופם ויצלח לכל עוונם וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם עם כל ישרותיהם ונאמר אמן. Thank you, everybody.
June 15, 2014.
Okay, one last thing I gotta say. It's like the Oscars, so you gotta do that last thing. My mother and my brother came in from out of town. My brother-in-law, Jerry, and we came in from out of town. I had so much family over here, and I'm so grateful that you came in. Mom Barbalat, Mom Franklin, everyone, thank you for coming to us.
That was really beautiful. Thank you so much. We're closing up. Get out. No. Ladies and gentlemen, the treasurer, dinner co-chair, past president, and the next president, Mr. Sam Sterling.
Everyone have a good time? Okay, the fact that you're all having such a good time tonight is only due to the dedication and hard work of a wonderful crew of people who work diligently to make this evening come together in the beautiful fashion that it has. Over the last few weeks and days, the Journal Committee has put in a tremendous amount of time working under pressure to produce the beautiful journals that you are enjoying this evening and ensuring that the dinner is the financial success that it is. To that end, I would really like to thank Joel and Marjorie Wine, Hal Wittenberg, Alan Sherman, and of course, Bernard Yudluffer, for all their efforts in dealing with all the last-minute issues, which, believe me, there were plenty of, in such a professional manner. When the dinner committee was put together, we were approached by a number of people who said that putting 6 ladies together to do anything is asking for trouble. I reassured them and told them not to worry. I have faith in this group. I don't think that faith was misplaced one bit. From the beginning, these 6 ladies took it upon themselves to make this dinner a fun and enjoyable yet classy event. They all brought different skills to the table that complemented each other, and the results of their efforts, well, you can see with your own eyes. The attention to every little detail really shines through tonight. I really want to thank Suri Berkowitz, Elisa Sherman, I'm sorry I couldn't be here this evening, Shari Stash, Yvette Sterr, Guy Weissman, and all the left. You all did a great job, and better yet, you already signed on for next year. I would like to wish my own mazel tov and extend a special thank you to our honorees this evening, Cindy and David and Suzanne and Bernie, on accepting to be honored tonight. You stepped up to the plate when we needed you most, and we can't thank you enough for that. You truly represent what Chaim stands for. I'm not quite sure what that is, but you definitely stand for it. And you really helped ensure the success of this evening. Cindy and David, we will really miss you. Suzanne and Bernie, we will definitely keep you. I would like to thank Howard Schoenfeld also for the amazing turnaround time in getting all the dinner-related mailings out so quickly. It was very much appreciated. As always, thanks to our Mora Dasra, Rabbi Moshe Rosenberg, for all the hard work that he does and continues to do for the shul on a daily basis. Chaim would not be what it is without him. I was going to thank Eric Levy, but of course, he is the one who put Steve and I up to this torture. Eric's power of persuasion is very strong, and somehow he got us to agree to co-chair tonight. Frankly, I'm not quite sure what I should really say to him for that. But all kidding aside, thank you so much, Eric, for all your help, guidance, good advice, and your listening and calming ear along the way. It really was appreciated. We'll have to see about next year. Also, a shout out thanks to David Simon and the folks at Charmel for making such a really beautiful dinner for us. Very much appreciated. As they say, Acharon Chaviv, I have to express my deepest thanks to my partner and co-chair, Steve Siegel. You know, Steve could have easily declined working on this year's dinner, or for that matter, emceeing the evening altogether, and no one could have blamed him. But Steve knew in his heart that that was not what Phyllis would have wanted, and I knew, and he knew that this was the right thing to do. I personally am so glad that he did, because I could not have done this without the tremendous amount of help that he has given me. I can't tell you how many emails, texts, phone calls, and meetings we had together, sometimes at ungodly hours, but I am glad that we were able to do it together as a team. Steve, I'm a lucky man to have you as a friend, and we as a shul are so fortunate to have you in our midst. Even though I already said Acharon Chaviv, lastly, I want to thank all of you here tonight for coming out and being here, placing ads in the journal, and helping to make this a most memorable night in Chaim history. And of course, to all the dads, happy Father's Day. Now, I'm really finished, but we do have one more order of business that we have to deal with. In my hand, I have an envelope with the $5,000 raffle prize.
No. Look around. This is not the raffle, it's dinner. That's not the raffle. The raffle was December.
Oh, I thought we in front of all these people, we do a raffle.
Okay, so let's see. What is it?
Something in the envelope. Yeah, let's take a look.
It's not a $5,000 prize. Everybody calm down. Where's the signature?
Piece of paper. Read the paper.
The name below is hereby entitled to one very special presentation.
To make one very special.
To make a presentation. Eric Levy.
Well, we call up Eric Levy. Come up and make a very special presentation.
Afrikaans, don't forget.
David, I'll do this in English. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Chaim 33rd Annual Dinner. You know, we've said that a few times. It really is quite amazing that we're doing 33 years of doing this dinner when you think about it. So we've already been privileged to pay tribute to the wonderful honorees here tonight, to Bernie and Suzanne, to David and Cindy, and I too want to extend my mazel tov to all of you, to your families, and thank you for everything that you do for Chaim. But we also have another very wonderful milestone to celebrate tonight. As you all know, this dinner represents the 20th anniversary of Rabbi and Dina Rosenberg joining Chaim. Over the course of the past 20 years, we've all gotten to know a man of great kindness, sensitivity, honor, and a vast intellect. We have also experienced the extent of his knowledge, which not only spans so much of Torah Lambdas, but also his secular scholarship, which includes the mysteries of wizardry, as well as intergalactic travel. He is a person that is not afraid to show his sensitive side, while also firmly standing his ground for the principles that he so strongly believes in. Dina, who prefers to do all of the many things that she does for the shul, quietly and without fanfare, including arranging for all of the meals for families who are in need, and of course making sure that the rabbi is available to the kehillah at all times of the day or night, no matter how great the sacrifice is to their own family. We thank you, Dina, for all that you do for the shul. If we are to take seriously the directive of Aselach Harav in Pirkei Avos chapter 1 verse 6, then how fortunate are we and blessed that we have had a Rav as our spiritual leader for these past 20 years. And we look forward to sharing with the Rabbi, with Dina and their whole family, in good health, happiness, and smachot for many, many years to come. Rabbi and Dina, please come up and accept this token of our appreciation for all that you do for the shul. Presented to Rabbi and Dina Rosenberg for 20 years of devoted service to our kehillah and community, Congregation Chaim 33rd Anniversary Dinner, June the 15th, 2014, 17 Sivan 5774. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I I also want to take this opportunity. You'll notice Sam doesn't thank himself. I want to thank the dinner committee chairman, Sam and Steve, for an amazing job of an absolutely, I think you will agree, this is such an exquisite dinner. Thank you, guys. And also to the dinner committee, the journal committee, and everyone who worked so tirelessly to make this such a wonderful dinner. And Sam and Steve, about your comment about next year's president, thank you for serving the lady duck tonight.
One more year to go, Eric. One more year to go. Last thing right now is I just want to mention, as you mingle for dessert, we're going to hopefully dance a little bit. I expect to see everybody up on the floor. Just a few minutes. Let's really give it a good go. But up front here, we'll move to the screen. You'll see some wonderful proclamations, and we want to thank Grace May, the U.S. Congresswoman, Rory Lansman, the City Councilman, Michael Simanowicz, the State Assemblyman, and Melinda Katz, the Queensborough President, for making these proclamations available to our honorees. Last thing, I was asked to tell you that you are welcome to take the flowers home, but leave the vase. Okay? Take the flower, but leave the vase, leave the water, everything else you can take. All right? Have a wonderful night. Thank you.